Welcome to the fourth video in the Performance Coaching series. In our last segment, we were asking questions to highlight the impacts of ineffective behaviors used in the past. Now, we're focusing on how to identify approaches that will drive more effective results in the future. The number one thing to remember when discussing doing something differently is not to tell your team members the answer. You know the best practice options and actions, but telling isn't coaching. Think about it like this. If your manager always told you what you needed to do differently and how to do it, even though you knew the answer, how would you feel? You might start to feel disengaged because you were not involved, rather simply told how to comply. Compliance is a requirement of the job, of course, but level of effort and satisfaction with that job comes out of free will, and that will is inspired by two-way communication that involves inclusion and collaboration. A good way to make sure you're involving the people you coach with is to remember that coaching isn't something you do to someone. It's a partnership, and when done correctly, it improves relationships and results. Let's watch an example. Now that we talked through why the assumptive close you were using wasn't helping you convert, let's talk about some other approaches. How do you think you could do it differently next time?
I'm not exactly sure. What would you do?
I have a few ideas, but I'd like to talk through yours first. When making an assumptive statement, what kind of language do we need to avoid?
Well, not using if, for sure.
Absolutely. So, based on that, what's a small change you could make to how you said it last time that would make it more effective next time?
Okay, instead of saying, if you want to schedule an appointment, I have 10 a.m. open, I could just say, I have 10 a.m. open.
Sure, that could work. And what would you say next?
I guess I'd ask if that would work.
Okay. And if you're asking, are you assuming?
No. So I would say, I have 10 a.m. open, and I'm setting that up for you now.
Yes, excellent. So based on the options you just came up with, what can you put into practice next time?
I can make sure not to use if and not ask about setting the appointment, but assume it.
All right, high five. There you have it. In that simple example, the coach did not tell the team member what they should have said or how to say it. Instead, the coach asked an initial question for ideas, acknowledged and encouraged, followed up with deeper questions, didn't give up the answer, and got agreement on a specific approach. Let's review those 5 steps to collaborative solutions, because with a little practice, you can get really good at helping people participate in the actions and outcomes of their coaching sessions. The 5 steps to collaborative solutions. First, ask for options. The whole point is to encourage participation, not just tell them the answers. Some examples are, what do you think would work better? How else might you approach it? What could you try next time? If you could do it over, what would you do differently? Second, avoid giving in. If you're asked to give your input, politely decline and redirect back to them. Like this, I have some ideas, but I'd like to hear yours first. Or, let's talk through your thoughts and then I can add on. Or, I'd rather hear what you think before I share. Third step, acknowledge and encourage. Value their thinking, give your insight, and ask questions that help them continue exploring. It might sound like this. I like where you're going. Tell me more. Okay, that could work. How do you see that playing out? I get your point, and that might work. What would happen if? And lastly, I appreciate your perspective. How do you think the customer would perceive it? Fourth, ask again. Dig deeper. Do not just go with the first option or a surface answer. Ask for other options or to elaborate, like, what else could work? How do you think that would work? What would you do next time? Why do you think it's important to do that? Fifth, agree on an approach. Ask which option they think is best and share feedback, or, if only one was discussed, simply ask for agreement to work on that approach. It might sound like, which do you think are most effective? I like that approach. Or, what might be the best choice for this situation? That makes sense, let's give it a try. Or, which one would you like to try? Why do you think that's the best option? These 5 steps will help you facilitate a collaborative approach to identifying and agreeing on solutions, which leads to greater buy-in and improved results. Remember, coaching is about leading your team member to self-discovery and self-resolution, because what we come up with ourselves, we're more bought into and more likely to put into practice.